Hello and welcome to SharePoint Intervention's Migration Preparation. My name is John Frost. I'm the CTO at Jack Frost Design. Jack Frost Design is a digital agency and Microsoft partner that has built over 75 SharePoint intranets and portals since 2003. But that's enough about us. Let's get into our executive overview on how to prepare for migrating your SharePoint environment to the cloud. First, let's cover some background. Most SharePoint intranets are not ready for migration. The majority of them are poorly architected, they were deployed without sufficient planning, and grew organically. It's also typical that the site collections are poorly maintained, which means that there will be abandoned sites, obsolete documents, risky permissions, and other anticipated issues. It's likely that the document storage is not legally compliant. Document classification probably doesn't exist. There are no retention policies in place, and the environment cannot respond to e-discovery. The good news is that migrating to Office 365 SharePoint Online provides a unique opportunity to remove redundant, outdated, and trivial information, apply basic records management, and address any structure issues that could be stalling adoption. So let's review the migration preparation process. Going through these steps in this order will not only provide for a smooth migration, but deliver a highly effective intranet in the cloud. We will quickly review this list and then go into a little detail on each step. The first step is to review or create a goal and scope specification for the new intranet. This basically identifies the purpose for the intranet and its technical limitations. The next step is to review the current site collection for value. Then a blueprint is created for the new intranet. Then you identify the content types and retention rules that will be used in the new intranet. Then you deploy a site collection in the cloud and build the new intranet structure based on the blueprint you created. Then you deploy the supporting site collections, which would normally be a content type hub, a security and compliance center, an e-discovery center, and a search center. Then you apply your document content types to your new libraries. Then you migrate the good content into the new intranet. Then you train your users. Now let's take a slightly deeper dive into each one of these steps. Again, we start with reviewing or creating a goal and scope specification for the new intranet. If you already have these and they're not changing, that's great. Otherwise, we need to create them. The goals statement establishes the purpose of the intranet at the 40,000-foot level. Is it a content management system? Is it a corporate communications portal? Is the focus process automation? Similarly, the scope statement establishes the technical limits. Are you going to allow third-party products? Are you going to create any custom code or apps? Will the site be graphically branded? Establishing your goal and scope makes all of the subsequent steps much easier because it's suddenly very clear to the project team what the purpose of the intranet is and the technical limits that you've decided to live within. The next step is to review the current site collection for all of the items that need to be moved into the new intranet. We normally do this by creating a site collection blueprint of the current intranet and then annotating it with the information as to what stays, what goes, and for the items that stay, where they should end up in the new intranet. The diagram you see here is from an intranet that served 200 employees across 15 departments. The annotations that you see in green represent identified valuable content that will be moving. The yellow notations indicate sites that haven't been used in years. While some of the yellow sites may have valuable content or content that is legally required to be retained, the sites themselves will not be recreated in the new environment. This process is done hand in hand with the next process, which is to blueprint the structure for the new intranet. Here you see the structure for the replacement intranet, which is much simpler and focused. It provides all of the same services, functions, lists, and libraries to the employees, but these sites represent the sites that were actually being used. All of the valuable and legally required content from the previous site structure will be moved into this new structure. The next step is to identify the basic document content types and their associated retention rules. In this case, document classifications, or content types, were provided by the county. And in the county-provided document, the retention periods were already specified. For a municipal organization, this can save a lot of time. For businesses and corporations, there are also standard templates that could be reviewed by your attorney. The next step is to deploy your new intranet. For SharePoint Online, this is basically deploying a new site collection and the sites that you have decided to incorporate into the new intranet. A side note here, this is an opportunity to not only clean up the intranet, but restructure many of the sites themselves to incorporate better page layouts and a better arrangement of the features and functions on each page. While you can deploy SharePoint site templates for each one of these sites, it's also possible to buy batches of sites so that you can rapidly deploy even large intranets with standardized sites that are easy to navigate and understand. Next, we deploy the supporting site collections. In this case, that would be the record center that will hold the documents considered to be records during their retention period, a search center that will augment the environment's ability to search and find documents, a content type hub that will store and control the document content types used throughout the intranet, an e-discovery center that will allow you to identify and secure blocks of documents for legal holds, and a security and compliance center which is configured to ensure that you're not storing documents that your organization has defined as illegal. This Security and Compliance Center is a new SharePoint feature that allows you to define documents that would violate policy and codes that govern your organization. An example would be documents that contain Social Security numbers or driver's license numbers. The Security and Compliance Center allows you to establish detection rules for 51 classes of documents that you may wish to be able to detect. The next step is to create your content types and retention rules in the Content Type Hub, and then apply them to the document libraries in your intranet. Now comes the fun part. You migrate the good content, documents and lists, into the designated sites and libraries in the new intranet, attaching the correct content types to the documents as you bring them in. The last step is to train the users. This is a key step because even with the world's best site collection, end users that don't know how to use SharePoint are not going to be able to use and maintain your new intranet. Surveys of failed SharePoint intranets reveal that 46% of the employees say that the reason they don't use an intranet is because they haven't received any training. Many organizations only train a fraction of their employees in SharePoint because the cost of instructor-led training is so expensive. Over the last few years, many organizations have switched to a SharePoint training model that uses a site deployed inside the site collection that takes over the responsibility for end-user training and support. It does this with a SharePoint training curriculum composed of a series of short videos. Watched in sequence, it's complete end-user training. But later, when someone needs a refresher, they can just use the SharePoint search feature and search for what they need help with. They'll then be served up with a 5-minute segment that helps them with exactly their current requirement. This achieves a cost for end-user training in the $10 per person area as opposed to several $100s per person with instructor-led training, making it affordable to train everyone in the organization. We now have a completely new intranet restructured to better serve the organization, with the content organized and stored where users expect it to be. The documents can all be surfaced effectively through search. You're legally protected via the application of content type rules and the ability to freeze documents, complements of your e-discovery center. And your users are trained and supported via a self-service site in your own site collection. So to summarize, we've reviewed the opportunities available to you to improve your intranet when moving it to the cloud. We've also gone through the step-by-step process that results in an optimized intranet that's designed to best serve the needs of the organization, while also better protecting it legally. If you'd like to know more, our website contains additional details about all of these topics that we've discussed today. And remember, if you have a project on the drawing board or in the doghouse, we should chat. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation.